It's Wednesday at 3:25 on the dot. And in the midst of free agency, which means you're in for the treat, last night, a special Skype session. Wow, Skype.
Some in person.
Okay. The committee met, fought, toiled, and burned the midnight oil to deliver the best segment in all of sports television. It's an honor and a privilege. It's time for a special edition, free agency edition of Nick's Tears. Wow.
It is, and as mentioned earlier, but I'll say it again, 2 of our 9 committee members will be on this show on Friday. They're staying over. Brew is gone. They said they would only come on if Brew wasn't here because he's disrespected the committee so much. So it worked out quite well.
Secret or like the mafia style?
No, they're gonna. They will be unmasked on the show. All right, bottom of the tiers, all 32 teams already planning for 2025. The Jets got added to it because they're planning for a campaign in 2020, cabinet appointments, a lot of things they got to do. Those 4 teams are like, okay, if we can stabilize, figure out the quarterback situation this year, then maybe next year we can actually make some moves. Right? Praying to the quarterback gods. So Denver and Minnesota are like, please let this be a Big Ben situation, where the 3rd or 4th quarterback off the board that's available in the teens ends up being awesome because that's they're both drafting after 10. The Giants are praying, please let Greg Jennings have a victory lap next year on Daniel Jones. And the Titans are hoping that they don't have to pray quite as hard because Levis showed some signs, but still he's 2nd-round pick. You got to have some things break your way. Speaking of things breaking your way, everything has to fall perfectly. So all 3 of these teams, you can make a case, are going to be playoff teams next year. But everything has to fall perfectly. The Cardinals have to crush the draft. Kyler's got to be healthy and play the way we've seen him play. The Saints need all of their 30-something-year-old guys to play at least a dozen to 16 games. It's going to be very hard, and Derek Carr to bounce back. And the Seahawks need rookie head coach and Geno to be on the same page, and Geno to have a season more similar to 2 years ago than last year. It can happen, but everything's got to fall perfectly. Omar Little, arguably the greatest character. I think that's the next group. If it's not, go ahead and reveal the next group. I'm sorry. Intriguing with the ceiling. Omar's after that. My apologies, guys. Intriguing with the ceiling. All of these teams believe they're going to be playoff teams. All of them are intriguing. Anthony Richardson coming back from injury is maybe the biggest unknown. What you're going to see Matt Ryan look like with the Falcons. All of Matt Ryan. Jeez Louise, I can't get over it. I know. Kirk Cousins with the Falcons. But none of those teams, as presently constituted, can win the Super Bowl. All of them will be disappointed if they don't make the playoffs. Now, I was obviously a little overeager for the Omar Little tier. Fans of The Wire know what's Omar Little's greatest line? Come at the king, you best not miss. All 5 of these teams took their shot at Kansas City. All 5 missed, and now we are peeling it back a bit. We're taking a few steps back because we took our shot, and now we weren't good enough last year or the year before, and now we're going to be a little worse than we were last year or the year before because we are losing players, whether it's Roquan Smith, your entire secondary, Mike Williams, your best defensive tackle in Christian Wilkins signed for $100 million, or Patrick Queen for Baltimore, pardon me, and Mike Williams leaves the Chargers, Christian Wilkins leaves the Dolphins, and the Eagles figuring out what they're going to do. But don't worry, I'm sure Saquon Barkley will fix it. Next, preparing for a lot to love, a lot of upside. The Packers and the Bears. So I know people are going to think this is a little too bullish on the Bears, but the Bears were a 7-win team last year with an awful quarterback situation, and they are getting a generational quarterback in the building, plus all the free agency money, plus another top 10 pick. Everybody loves the Packers. They're both in the weaker conference. There's a lot to love and a lot of upside. Now, praying for an AI invite. What's AI? Any guesses? Wilds?
I mean, I'll fall into it.
Yeah.
Artificial intelligence.
Nope. Arrowhead Invitational.
Exactly.
They are just hoping. Check in the mail. Are we going to get to be there? We just hope we get to be the runners-up in the AFC. That's our ceiling, and we know it, but we would be delighted to be there. Still, really, really good. Listen, I understand why there's skepticism, but these are both good teams that have had minimal offseason losses. The Niners' biggest loss, Eric Armstead, that's a real one, but they have since added Leonard Floyd and Malik Collins, and it seems like Mike Silver's saying they might add more. Dallas hasn't lost much, hasn't added much. They're both double-digit win teams that we know we question them in the playoffs. For Dallas, it's because of their coach and quarterback. For the Niners, it's because of their coach and quarterback, I guess. But they're really good teams. And now to near the top of the tiers, forever enshrined. So what do I mean by that? Think about those two guys that mobbed Hank Aaron after 7-15. Or the Soviet hockey team. Or Brian Russell. You can see them all, right? Because they're on someone else's legendary highlight reel. And one of these two teams is likely to be on the field when the Chiefs win their third straight Super Bowl.
Wow.
And they will be forever enshrined to history as, wow, they were there. Now, that also means I think these are the two best teams in the NFC as presently constituted. And, no surprise, reveal the top of the tiers, please. Rewriting the GOAT record books, whether it's team, coach, quarterback, they're trying to rewrite it all. That is the committee's off-season tiers, Greg Jennings.
Well, I like the top of the tiers, obviously,
Okay.
the Chiefs.
Yeah, thanks.
There's a lot that I could go on about, but let's focus on the Raiders. And I'm not going to even acknowledge the names because we weren't given the names. But the Raiders?
The Raiders at the bottom
At
there?
the bottom? Like, this was an 8-9 team, a team that finished 4-2 in that division. And we're making it seem like they're just going to lie down for everybody. They just got better in free agency on both sides of the ball with Wilkins and Gardner Minshew. Whether we want to believe it or not, Gardner Minshew is a better quarterback than Jimmy Garoppolo and their current guy under center right now, Aiden O'Connell. Like, I like – look at where you have the Colts. Like, the Colts are there in large in part because of what we saw them do last year with Gardner Minshew under center.
Ooh, good take.
Almost making the postseason.
I like that take.
This team was better than the Broncos last year. The Broncos fought. They have nothing, and you have them at the bottom?
Yeah.
Like, I can't – I'm
like that.
not at all a Raiders fan. But, boy, you are completely disrespecting the Raiders.
I like that.
The bulletin board's very skeptical.
Oh, they've been talking too much
that's
trash.
what it is.
Mahomes rules. Well, yeah, guys, keep your
that's
eye
what
on
it
the ball.
is.
Why don't you try to not be, an embarrassing franchise for the last decade rather than worried about Patrick Mahomes?
Okay.
And also, $25 million for Gardner Minshew. Come on. Your plan going into the year is Gardner Minshew? That's
Gardner
your plan?
Minshew can play.
No, he can't. He's a good backup. He is their planned starter.
Is he better than what they have currently had?
I thought Aiden O'Connell played decent last year.
He's better than
The fact that
Aiden
you
O'Connell.
didn't answer
Jimmy
that question.
Garoppolo.
I'll
Yeah.
let
proves
the
my
Jimmy
point.
G
Go ahead, bro.
slide.
Oh, my God.
All right, the Ravens, Nick. If you had done this yesterday before they got Derrick Henry, maybe I'd have let this slide. But with Derrick Henry, they're way down there below the freaking Bears? I mean, no. And their defense, I said it, I hate, some of the losses. But they got a culture of great defense. That's what they do. They've been in the top 5 of the last 6 years in scoring defense. They've been in the top 10, 7 of the last 8 years in defense. That's culture. Guys that weren't great defenders elsewhere go there and ball out defensively. So the defense is going to be fine. Offensively, now I got Derrick Henry. With all due respect to Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins and these guys, they ran well behind that offensive line with teams paying attention to Lamar first. What do you think the big man's going to do? And he can still break them too? Oh, my gosh. And they're going to get a receiver in the draft?
They
oh,
do
my
that
gosh.
every year, don't they? I don't know if any team spent more draft capital.
The
Ravens
Ravens-
a one. How many?
Ravens should be up, and they've matured. They've learned from their mistakes in the
have they?
AFC Championship.
Really?
Yeah, they will not be doing that foolishness that cost them against the Chiefs.
You know what? I agree with you. They will not be doing much in the AFC Championship game this coming year. Wilds, I have a confession before you go.
Go ahead.
There was a lot of pushback from the committee about where I had the Ravens. They wanted them up a little bit higher. They wanted them alongside the Bengals and the Texans.
Yeah.
In the, for the trying to get invited to Arrowhead Invitational. I was like, guys, if we put the Ravens on the Omar Little tier, we can justify it. And we can bait Brew into further trying to rekindle his love. It's like anonymously sending him a picture of a high school girlfriend, like, hey, nobody knows.
I'm
like
reminiscing.
Yeah, oh yeah, reminiscing. Oh, and a Baltimore thing. Good point, Wild.
It ended badly, but we had some good times together. We tried to rekindle that
all right,
flame.
so I also have a confession to make. I thought the Bengals were too low because we don't get to see the title. And now you have them in the AFC Championship game. So I'm like, well, that's actually pretty good.
But without seeing the title, you knew they were.
AFC,
They were.
I know, but you have them down on the fifth spot or sixth spot. It doesn't go left to right, maybe 6 or 7. But and anyway, I made a Bengals. I believe in the Bengals. First of all, Joe Burrow, underrated at this point, Greg? Maybe. When he's healthy, underrated? Maybe. Just saying, I'm putting out maybe there. He's a very good quarterback. Feels like
You were the one saying that he might be a system quarterback.
I never said he's system quarterback. I never
You
said.
did. You flirted with it.
that.
Jake Browning can play a little bit.
There you go.
I'm just saying. If
Jake
you got,
Browning or Gardner Minshew, who you got?
Probably Gardner, just because I like the outfits a little bit more. But what about the defense? You're saying, Kevin? The defense was actually really bad. They gave up a ton of big plays. Here's the graphic about the big plays, how bad they are. Turns out they're the worst. Seahawks, Commanders, and the Lions.
A lot of big plays.
Good news. Wow. Free agency went and got Geno, and a little bit of addition by subtraction, take him away from the Ravens. And this is the type of scouting the Patriots used to do. Oh, did you ever have a big play against us? You did. He intercepted Joe Burrow. Ended up to it being a Bengals loss. Do we have the video? Nope. Here it is. A little bit late. It's just an interception. I told you guys about it. There he goes. He runs back. And finally, this is a Josh special. Yeah. Because no one else really likes to do this except me. A little strength of schedule action. Is it too early? No. Maybe. Non-divisional opponents. Some TCs on there, bro. A handful. We don't know how the year is going to go, but there are some TCs there. Last 2 years, NFL best 17-4 in non-division games. If you got some TCs on your schedule, all of a sudden, maybe.
Well, they do get the benefit of the last place schedule, even though they're not a last place quality of team. You know what I mean? That's rare that happens. That happens usually if your division's stacked, which theirs was, or if your quarterback gets hurt, which theirs did. That's how you can have that. So listen, that's why they're fighting with the Texans.
Yeah, it's fair.
To be, runners up in the AFC.
It's a good spot for them.
Yeah,
I just thought they were too low.
And by the way, they still have T. Higgins. Maybe Brew's right that they're going to hold their water on T. Higgins. Brew made a compelling Jonah Williams case yesterday. I was shocked he had that right off the top of his dome.
That was good.
That was really good.
Got crushed.
I was a big Joe.
That was really good. I was like, when's the last time? I was like, bam! Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.